Hello, Kentucky fans. A big name has emerged for Kentucky. It's Chase Lumpkin, a big guy to land with the Wildcats. Let's analyze the news. Kentucky basketball continues to accumulate good news, and the latest comes in the form of a name that's starting to gain national attention: Chase Lumpkin. The 2027 shooting guard is the latest arrival to appear in the game against Purdue, and his presence in Lexington reinforces Coach Pope's active and strategic approach to recruiting elite talent. Lumpkin, a Georgia native, stands 6 feet 4 inches and weighs 185 pounds. His physique, combined with fluidity on offense and defensive consistency, has made him one of the most promising players in his class. Currently ranked as the 71 SD Best Prospect of 2027 by 247 Sports, he already has offers from top universities like Florida State, Ole Miss Auburn, and Georgia Tech ***. Now, the Kentucky Wildcats are trying to make a strong run at this competition, and there's good reason to believe Lexington could become the ideal destination for the young talent. Pope's program has demonstrated a clear pattern, rebuilding Kentucky's recruiting reputation not only with consensus big names, but with players who fit the team's new identity: competitive, disciplined, and modern. Lumpkin represents exactly that profile. His ability to create shots, act as a versatile scorer, and adapt in quick transitions make him a valuable piece in any dynamic offensive scheme. Besides Lumpkin, the matchup against Purdue will be a true star-studded gathering. Also confirmed are 5-star center Obinna Akizi Jr. and 4-star forward Lincoln Cosby, two prominent names who could shape the program's future if Kentucky can solidify their interest. For Pope and his staff, the opportunity is twofold: to showcase the competitive and vibrant environment of Rupp Arena and to reaffirm the confidence that the current project instills in young talent. These visits are not just formal events. They are signs of the program on the rise, once again taking center stage on the national stage. Lexington's atmosphere, its winning track record, and the new style of play implemented by Pope are putting Kentucky back in the conversation as a preferred destination for players seeking real development and significant victories. Chase Lumpkin arrives, therefore, at a symbolic moment. While Kentucky faced one of the best teams in the country, he was able to experience firsthand the type of basketball played there: intense, intelligent, and passionate. And if what we've seen so far is any indication, Mark Pope has built something that resonates deeply with young athletes, a culture that combines tradition with renewed ambition. Let's keep going. Kentucky basketball once again proved that it's not just a team of individual stars shining in the spotlight. On Friday night, inside the bustling Rupp Arena, the program reaffirmed its identity as a collective machine, where success isn't tied solely to points on the scoreboard, but to what happens behind the scenes and in the less visible moments. With a convincing 78-65 victory over then-ranked Purdue, Kentucky showed the world that, under Mark Pope's leadership, this team could be building something special. The game was a spectacle of college basketball at its purest. The matchup with Purdue, a preview of what we might see in March, demonstrated tactical maturity and impressive depth. Freshman Jasper Johnson drew attention with 15 points, while M.O. Diabate, coming from Alabama to bolster the Wildcats' defense, had 8 points and 9 rebounds. But what really resonated after the game weren't the obvious names or the spectacular plays. It was the subtle details, the unsung heroes, and the team culture that emerged as the night's protagonists. Colin Chandler, a sophomore point guard who entered the game off the bench, was perhaps the game's most important player, even if his traditional stats don't reflect that. In just 16 minutes, Chandler contributed modestly with 2 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. But his impact was monumental. The plus 15 scoring difference during his time on the court speaks for itself. When Chandler was on the court, Kentucky dominated. He wasn't the primary scorer or the one who drew the cameras, but he was the invisible glue that kept everything going. He was the one who applied pressure on defense, distributed accurate passes, and injected energy into every possession. Mark Pope, in his post-game analysis, was full of praise, describing Chandler as the MVP of the game. And these aren't just empty words. For Pope, Chandler embodies exactly the type of player who can take Kentucky to the next level. That's the defining characteristic of someone who, if this team wants to do something historic, that's what we need. The coach declared, we need to defend that. We need to take pride in that. It's a clear testament to the fact that success in Lexington won't be measured solely by the numbers on the scoreboard, but by each player's willingness to embrace their role, whatever that may be. And if Chandler was the driving force on the court, Jalen Lowe provided the spark off it. Even without action due to a shoulder injury, Lowe was an unwavering presence on the sidelines. His infectious energy and quiet leadership shaped the team's atmosphere. During timeouts, he was there gesturing and guiding his teammates. When Purdue tried to rally in the second half, Lowe was at the forefront, motivating and keeping the group focused. For Pope, this attitude exemplifies the mindset he strives to instill in his players, a commitment to the greater good, regardless of individual circumstances. Lowe's absence from the court wasn't seen as a limitation, but as an opportunity for him to exercise a different kind of leadership. He was unbelievable on the bench, keeping players engaged, Pope said, highlighting Lowe's importance in the overall picture. Fortunately, the point guard recovery is progressing promisingly, and there are expectations that he could return soon, perhaps as early as the matchup against Louisville on November 11th. When that happens, Big Blue Nation will have even more reason to celebrate. What makes this victory over Purdue so significant goes beyond the result itself. Kentucky not only defeated an elite opponent, but did so with a style that reflects Mark Pope's philosophy: hard work, depth, and team chemistry that transcends individual differences. Purdue, with talents like Braden Smith, arrived in Lexington as a target to beat. However, the Wildcats treated the game as a statement of intent, outperforming the Boilermakers in virtually every key aspect: rebounding, running, and tactical execution. In a program so accustomed to celebrating individual stars, this version of Kentucky basketball is a tribute to collective strength. It wasn't one player scoring 30 points that decided the game. It was the entire team working in harmony that made the difference. As the schedule progresses and the next challenge against Georgetown approaches, the excitement in Lexington is palpable. Rupp Arena, once again, is the stage for a team that knows how to win, and more importantly, is learning how to do it the right way. Coach Stoops, who has led the Wildcats for over a decade, is facing one of the most challenging moments of his career. But that doesn't mean his trajectory should be reduced to mere speculation about departures or failures. Within this complex narrative, there are nuances that deserve to be highlighted, especially when it comes to a man whose passion for the program transcends numbers and scoreboards. Since his arrival in 2013, Stoops transformed Kentucky from a team historically relegated to the shadow of SEC giants into a respectable force capable of competing in one of the most brutal arenas in college sports. The 2021 season was a historic milestone. 10 wins, including a memorable appearance in the Citrus Bowl, elevated the Wildcats to a level few could have imagined years earlier. But that is now far from over. Football, like any other art form, is cruel to those who fail to maintain the rhythm of their best performances. Since 2021, the Wildcats have experienced a progressive decline, marked by 7-6 seasons in 2022 and 2023, as well as a disappointing 4-8 record in 2024. This year, in 2025, the team is still searching for its first conference victory, accumulating just 2 wins in 7 games. For many, these results may seem enough to question Stoops' continued leadership. However, looking solely at the numbers would be to ignore everything he has built throughout his career. It's undeniable that the past few years have been a strenuous test for the program. Competing in the SEC, perhaps the most competitive conference in the country, requires not only talent, but also luck, roster depth, and impeccable tactical decisions. Even the most established teams falter amid the constant pressures of this unforgiving environment. And while it's easy to point to flaws, it's important to recognize that Stoops' work extends far beyond the field. He not only raised Kentucky's competitiveness, but also brought visibility and pride to a state that often found itself on the fringes of the high school football map. Speculation about his future, fueled by reporting from On3's Pete Nakos, gained momentum after the loss to Tennessee, a painful setback that exposed offensive weaknesses and offensive gaps. With 5 games remaining in the season, some see this final stretch as an opportunity for Stoops to redefine his narrative. Rumors linking him to a vacancy at Virginia Tech have surfaced, but Nakos suggests such a move seems unlikely at this point. After all, leaving Lexington would mean abandoning a project that still holds potential, even in the face of current difficulties. This idea of Stoops remaining steadfast, weathering the storms while trying to rebuild the foundations of a once top team. His contract, valued at $37 million if he is released, reflects the confidence the Kentucky administration has already placed in him. While negotiations could emerge in a hypothetical scenario, there's a sense that both sides are willing to give the partnership another chance. This doesn't mean the upcoming games will be any less decisive. Quite the opposite. For Kentucky fans, this is a time for reflection. It's easy to fall into the trap of pessimism when results don't come, but it's also crucial to remember that sports are cyclical. Stoops has already proven he can bring out the best in a limited group of players and turn them into protagonists. Perhaps the key to the Wildcats' success lies once again with a coach who knows the program like few others and who, despite the criticism, still demonstrates commitment to the cause. But I don't know. Share your opinion.